There's a crackle on the radio, a story to be told about banjos on the hillside and voices paved in gold. Got a cold glass bottle, drop some peanuts in the coat, and I'm sitting on the front porch hanging on every note. The Front Porch Podcast, singing times gone by, with fiddle strings and heartache and the reasons why. We keep this music living, never let it fade so fast. Raise a toast to the legends on the Front Porch Podcast.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Front Porch. Yeah, we're on the Front Porch tonight here in Tennessee, and if you see a bunch of leaves falling on me, it's that time of year in Tennessee. I don't know if it's really because of fall or because here in Middle Tennessee we haven't gotten a lot of rain this summer, but leaves are everywhere, and bugs are still everywhere because they're flying on me right now. But welcome in. Welcome to the Front Porch Podcast here on the Country Music Time Machine. Special shout out to everybody out there watching on YouTube and the wonderful place called Facebook. I'm going to give you some stats coming up a little bit later about what's been going on for the Country Music Time Machine on those two places. We're in a lot of places, but YouTube and Facebook are two of the places we're always at, as well as Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you call it now, and TikTok. And some of those I hardly ever look at, but a lot of country music fans do. So welcome in, as always. I want to know where you're dialed in from, as we used to say in the radio world, or where you're computerized in from. Let me know who you are, where you're from. I want to say howdy to you if I possibly can, because, that's what I do here. I love to welcome everybody in. I'm going to scroll up a little bit because we always have early viewers. DDRR, or as I call him, Double D Double R, is up in Wisconsin in the house and ready to roll. Thank you so much, Double D Double R. We also have, let me scan down here and get some more. Julian Santagita, he said he just finished his dinner and ready for your live stream. Kevin, Julian is up in Canada. Love Canada, love folks up in Canada. I'm going to be up in Canada probably next year sometime to record a special on country music history from Canada. That's going to be cool. Did it last year. Actually, almost a year ago at this time, I was in Japan doing an episode on Japanese country music. So next year, as the country slang says, the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll head up to see our neighbors in Canada. Rita Harris says, good evening, Kevin. Hope you had a wonderful day. Hope it has cooled off there by now. Rita in New Jersey. And it has cooled off a little bit. It got up about 85 today, but not too bad. Not bad as it has been. And it's been a little bit chilly here on the front porch in the morning because we're out here before sunrise drinking coffee. So it's, a little bit chilly. William May says, good evening, Kevin. Everyone from Chapel Hill, North Carolina says howdy. Howdy back to Chapel Hill and the good folks there. And that's the home of the Tar Heels. Not sure if the Tar Heels were playing today. The Clemson Tigers were playing, and they lost to Georgia Tech. Tennessee Volunteers are playing Georgia right now. At halftime, they were winning. I have no idea what the score is now. I'm hoping Tennessee will hold out, even though everybody in Georgia, I do love you guys as well. And J-Cat says, hello, J-Cat, checking in from sunny but cool 72 degrees in Portland, Oregon. And I want to give a big shout out to J-Cat. And I got some top secret information. I know his real name, but, I don't want his fans to overcome this channel. So unless he gives me permission to say what his real first name is, I'm not going to say that. But J-Cat helped me with the microphones tonight. So it is my hope that the microphones work a little better tonight. I hope they do. We will see if they do. Because last time we did this, we had a microphone issue, and we never could really narrow down what the cause of that microphone issue was. But, we're going to try to figure out, and keep it going. Because when J-Cat and I checked it earlier, it was fine. And I'm just playing with the camera right now because This is one of those AI cameras. When I hold my hands up, it zooms in. Like, stop doing that stuff, man. I just want a camera to show my ugly face, But a big thanks to JCat, and he says gain has increased some. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Could be because I'm running my mouth very loudly. Hopefully, the gain will stay good. William May says the Tar Heels are playing today, and since the Tar Heels aren't playing against anybody I love, I hope the Tar Heels win. If they were playing against Clemson or maybe South Carolina, the Gamecocks, or Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, that's where I'm from originally, I would not be rooting for the Tar Heels. But we'll see what happens with that. And if you are just tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want me to give you a shout out, I would love to do it, especially if you're brand new and never tuned in before. I'd love to let folks know where you're tuning in from, because we do it all the time and we enjoy the heck out of it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the CMA Awards. If you listened last time, I found out not too long ago that I've been invited, and I took the invitation. I'm a professional member of the Country Music Association. And there's a lot of things that go with the Country Music Association, a lot of different things, not just the awards. But because I love country music history, I have volunteered to promote country music to other countries on behalf of the CMA, because I speak a few other languages, and it would just be cool to do it, because really I did it for free for the past 23 years working for the Uncle Sam as I worked overseas, and I was always bragging about country music. So, we're going to talk about the CMA Awards, and I want to take your input, too. If you were in my shoes and you could vote, who would you vote for? We'll go down all the big categories, and you can just shout out and say, Kevin, you should choose this one, you should choose this one, give me a reason why, and we'll go from there. All right, let's go ahead and crank up the Front Porch Podcast news update for this, Saturday, September 13th, 2025. And first of all, I want to give a big shout out to the Country Music Time Machine Community Members of the Week. According to Facebook, I don't know how, according to YouTube, I don't know how they get this data, but some magical logarithm that I know JCat was trying to hack into the other day, but I don't totally understand where the numbers come from, because it's not necessarily what I see all the time, but I'm always appreciative. So a big shout out to Jay Hop. Maybe he's related to JCat. Brian Hele, or is it Hele or Hell? Not sure about that. I know Rustian Serpentine is always on here, and Annie Waymo is one of the top viewers and collaborators of the Country Music Time Machine this week, according to the folks that run the magical computerized AI Skynet stuff at YouTube. So thank you, folks, for tuning in. Now, before I get started, I'm going to just briefly, I'm going to take this off the screen because I want you to see my face and just me when I talk about this. I debated for the last 3 days about whether I would talk about this subject because it has huge political implications. Now, almost every week I featured usually one of the biggest videos of the week on the channel, either with YouTube or a combination of YouTube and Facebook. And I decided to do it again this week, but it just happens that the biggest video that I released last week that got almost 1 million views between Facebook and YouTube is controversial for some reason to some. And it's even more controversial this week because of what has happened in our neck of the woods here in the United States. If you're tuned in from outside the United States, you probably heard all the news. The first focus this week was, as we always do here in the U.S., we honor those who died for September 11th. We do that every year. And it's always tough for me because even though I know no one who died on September 11th, 2001, I had a friend who died on September 11th, 2012. He was a fella just like me doing the same job I was doing. He was working for the U.S. government in Libya. His name was Sean Smith, and he died in a terrorist attack at the consulate in Benghazi. He, along with the ambassador at the time. So it's always sort of a tough time for me, to think about this stuff and ponder on it. But this year, it's even tougher, as you see on the screen. Now, there's always mixed political opinions about everything. This week, we were hit with two pieces of bad news. Of course, the remembrance of the bad news of the September 11th attacks, but also a person was assassinated this week when he was speaking to college students in Utah. Now, if you have watched this channel long enough, I worked for the U.S. government for so long, and I officially still work for them until the end of September, even though I'm just going to say whatever I want to say right now. I don't like to get involved too much in political debate. I know that in country music it happens, and sometimes we can't avoid it, but I don't like to get involved in it. I was not a follower of Charlie Kirk. I was not a subscriber to his channel. I did see his videos every once in a while, but that does not mean I didn't like him. I am just sort of, after being, around it for so many years, I just get tired of political debate. But when a man is sitting in a chair and probably being viewed by his wife and children, gets shot from a lunatic at 200 yards away, that hurts me. And my kids were hurt. They didn't understand it. And my kids are not all super conservatives. They're somewhat liberal in some ways too, but they were blown away. And it sort of made it even a little bit worse because I saw some comments, people celebrating this guy's death, which is, as far as I'm concerned, just horrible. You should never celebrate anyone's death. Whether people are dying in Utah in front of a microphone, a lieutenant governor or a member of the governorship that died recently in an attack, or if you're in Israel, or if you're on the West Bank, or if you're in Ukraine, or you're in Russia, you should never celebrate. If you celebrate death, something is definitely wrong with you. But, I released a video about, the great song from Alan Jackson, "Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning?" The next part of the lyric goes, "That September day." So it fit perfectly into the feeling, especially in the U.S. right now, after the death of Charlie Kirk. And the weird thing about it was I went on my personal Facebook page and I posted this. I said, I don't agree with what comes out of both political sides sometimes. Nobody deserves to die because of what they believe. America really needs to get some healing right now. I pray we all can come together and stop killing each other. Well, I have about 500 friends on Facebook, on my personal page. And out of those 500 friends, only 25 acknowledged that post. That, to me, is a little bit scary. But to each his own, I guess. But it made me a little sad. So in this household, and even on the front porch, we've been a little bit sad this week, remembering 9/11 and also thinking about a fella who was assassinated just for talking in front of a microphone like I'm doing right now. And that's sad, and it shouldn't happen. And that's one reason why I released the video on September 11th of Alan Jackson with his great song. And it's got, like I said, between Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, it's got about 1 million views already. And I guess Daniel Smith says it best. Amen. What can we more say about this? I don't know. But anyway, let's continue rolling on. Since the last time I talked to you guys, I went to the Grand Ole Opry. I want to tell you about the experience I had at the Grand Ole Opry, and with a few of the folks there. It was good, and it was not good. The Grand Ole Opry folks work really hard to put on a good show, and they're still doing that after 100 years. I went with a friend, and she enjoyed herself immensely. Me, probably not as much as her. And I think the big reason was because, sadly, on the Grand Ole Opry stage that night, the country music, the traditional country music, was limited. We had the frontmen, great guys, Little Texas, Restless Heart, Lone Star. They did a great job. We also had Chris Jansen, Charlie McCoy, Old Dominion, Ray Lynn, Rhonda Vincent, and Jake Worthington. And they all did a great show. They played their 3 songs, and they did a good job at it. But my big shout out goes to Rhonda Vincent, who opened the show. Not only did she open the show, but she came to where we were sitting. I was sitting with my friend, and she sang to us and just talked to us, which was really, really cool. And she's a bluegrass singer, and some call her the queen of bluegrass. And beautiful lady, beautiful voice, incredible musician. She opened the show that night, and then Charlie McCoy did an incredible job. After that, it got a little less country and more rock, but I want to give a shout out to one fella that I'd never seen before. That's Chris Jansen. Chris Jansen is that man is a one-man show. If you ever get a chance to see Chris Jansen in concert, you should go to it. He's funny, he's lively, and, his big song was Buy Me a Boat. And his big hit right now is something about beer can, I think. So it was a good time at the Grand Ole Opry. And make sure, I talked about this last time too, if you want to join the exclusive Country Music Time Machine crew member crowd, we do it over at the Patreon. And we got Patreon set up to, we're really not making money on this podcast or on this channel, but we do it because we love country music history. But all this equipment costs a lot of money, and some of these lights are dying. And my poor old tripod there is seen its better days. So we're all getting together on Patreon, and it's a chance for you to get a more in-depth look at what happens here at the Country Music Time Machine. You can also give your input to what happens. And also, today on YouTube, the Roy Acuff video came out. Well, the folks over at Patreon saw it, I think, last Monday. So you get videos long before they come out. You get to see them first, and I sort of pick their brains over there about things. And once we get enough members, we're going to have our own one-on-one chats, not to be broadcast to the world, but just be sitting in a room on a video camera or on just through a microphone and just talk to each other. Right now, only $5 will get you $5 a month will get you a membership to Patreon, and you'll be part of the Country Music Time Machine crew. And, that's great. Just going back to the chat here, and J-Cat says, you forgot about the Denver school shooting. Yeah, this crap just keeps happening and happening and happening. The flag is at half staff all the time. Maria Brown has chimed in since I started talking. Hey, Kevin, how was your day? New Jersey. Day was pretty good. I was actually on the front porch recording an episode, Crazy Country Lyrics 2. And I started at about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then I was going to record another episode called Crazy Country Slang 5. and the lawnmowers just got too bad. There were folks cutting the grass all around this little tiny farm, and it just wouldn't have worked, And J-Cat says, you forgot about the Denver school shooting. Of course, sad news out of there. Double D, Double R said that Alan Jackson song was a great song. Thanks for posting it. And J-Cat loves the ladies. I thought about J-Cat when I released a video today about Leanne Rimes, who really has one of the best voices of all time in country music history. She's right up there with Patsy Cline. Her voice is off the charts, incredible. And musicians and vocal teachers hear her voice and say, that's perfection. That's when we think about Leanne Rimes. But he likes Ray Lynn. And Ray Lynn was on stage that night, and Ray Lynn did not sing God Made Girls that night, but she sang that song that was sort of country music way. Now I want you to stand by, because when we get into the CMA award nominees, J-Cat's going to pop into the comment section a link I want you to follow. I want you to pop in your chat what do you think about each award, but also follow that link. It allows us to gather the data and see what you're thinking about who should win these awards. So stand by. J-Cat's going to put that stuff in the comment section. All right, let's take a look at the stats right now from YouTube. here on the Country Music Time Machine. We're up to 32.4 thousand subscribers. Thank you all so much. Love you for doing that. And it still amazes me. We're already past 7.1 million views. That's a lot of views. That's a lot of folks. And it shows you how many folks love country music, or at least loves country music history. Now look at Facebook. Facebook is like mind-blowing. Facebook, every time I check it, there are hundreds and hundreds of comments every day on different videos about different things. But this summer, we've got 34 million views on Facebook. That's a bunch of views. We got 125,000 followers over there. And just amazing stuff coming out of Facebook. Even though, as you've heard me say, Facebook sometimes have a lot of fake crap on there about country music. And I call them out on it too, trying to keep everybody straight. But we love you guys over on Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And speaking of Facebook/Instagram, this shocked me. I was here on the front porch this week, or was it last weekend? I can't remember when it was. I was just going through and I clicked over to Instagram just to see what the comments looked like. And I saw this: The Rock liked your reel. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. That's really The Rock. It's somebody pretending to be The Rock. And I had a reel or a short video on there about Travis Tritt and how he came across a song, Here's a Quarter, called Someone Who Cares. Well, I got a notification that The Rock liked the video. And I'm thinking, I got to check this out. You know, while I worked in radio all those years here in Nashville, my degree is in computer science. So I know a little bit about computers and checking behind the scenes. And I checked behind the scenes and confirmed that The Rock is watching Country Music Time Machine stuff. So, and at least The Rock liked that video, but it makes you wonder, why did The Rock like that video? Is there something going on in his life where he wants to tell somebody, here's a quarter, call Someone Who Cares? I don't know. That's just my speculation. And there is a comment here from Velvet Platts. It says, yeah, The Rock has been a country fan for years. Haven't you ever seen the Chris Janson video that The Rock appears in? Like, I just saw Chris Janson a week and a half ago at the Opry and never made the connection. So, you know, and I did upload a Chris Janson video that my friend Sarah recorded sitting beside me as Chris Janson was singing Buy Me a Boat. So go figure. But thank you, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, for tuning in the Country Music Time Machine. We love you and we love people like you. All right, let's keep rolling. Another video I uploaded this week was about country hits. I was comparing the country hits of 1985 and today. And boy, as I get my Coke and peanuts, there's a big difference between country music today and 85. The song I featured, the 1985 song, was George Jones' Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes. And today's song, which is this week's number one country song, is Shaboozey and Good News, which I actually like the song. I think it's a great song. It's better than that bar song Tipsy crap that he had before that a lot of people like, but I didn't. But it's not really country, but I still like the song. So I was comparing the two. And J-Cat chimed in, and J-Cat is totally honest, brutally honest with me sometimes. And he says, Kevin, every time you post stuff like this, it makes me a bit upset. Sure, there are those who are making a mockery of country music like Shaboozey, Jelly Roll, Push Malone, Morgan Wallen, and others, but the future of country music isn't as bleak as you try to make it out to be. There are artists like Emily Ann Roberts, Elisa Flaherty, Kristen Foreman, Whitney Lusk, Kylie Frey, David Allen Burns, Aaron Watson, Randall King, and many others that never get a mention. That's why country music is dying. It's because people only put the spotlight on the negative. And I agree and I disagree with Jake Head on that. I agree. Traditional country music is not showing up in Nashville. The record companies are not promoting that. They're promoting whatever can make them a quick buck and a fast dollar. And right now, that is young people. And those young people can't find their pop music over on the pop music charts. They can't find their rock music either. I don't even know if a rock music chart exists anymore. Maybe it does, but I couldn't name you one rock band. So they're getting it in country music, and country music is filling the void, and it is affecting what we hear. But what J Cat says is true. So many great country artists are not being heard. Only a few are slipping through the cracks and getting heard, and that is sad. As I've always said, the history of country music has always included crossover, poppy country songs, and many that I love. But the invasion here lately has been extreme. Extreme to the point that we need to be worried about how it will affect the country music genre. Will we stop hearing songs that have banjos and fiddles all together? Now, I'm not talking about a rap beat with a banjo and fiddle in the background. I'm talking about a banjo, fiddle, steel guitar song. I don't know. But sadly, I can't feature so many new artists because this channel is dedicated to the history of country music. So that is the dilemma that I'm always in, is since we're dedicated to history, how are we going to feature the new stuff that hasn't made history yet? It's a tough deal. I got to figure out a way to do that. But Shorty Hedrick says, I don't like today's country music. I love the older music. Shorty, I like some of today's country music. I like a lot of the older country music. But it does get to me sometimes, and I've been purposely trying to listen to more new country music. It gets to me sometimes when I turn on a country music station, and I feel like I'm listening to the Backstreet Boys. That's how crazy country music is getting. All right. Also featured a video this week called Who Remembers Freddie Fender, if I can say Freddie Fender right. He was a great Latino artist, and some wonder, you get into the Country Music Hall of Fame, of course, by selling lots of records and everything, but also impact is an important part of that. Freddie Fender had a big impact on country music history. Some folks think, why is Freddie Fender not in the Country Music Hall of Fame? Or why is Johnny Rodriguez not in the Country Music Hall of Fame? I can't answer that question because I'm not sitting on the board of the Country Music Hall of Fame. But love Freddie Fender. A lot of folks chimed in. Perry Langford says, amazing artist. Master of Scrutiny. That's a handle for you. So good, this song and his voice. And Hector Papucho says this. Claro que sí, yo era muy niño y solo lo recordaba al oír la canción hasta que en internet supe quién era. Grande el cantante. See, that's my Spanish for you. I responded to him, Freddie, fue excelente y merece más crédito. He's just saying that Hector, I'll translate that to English for you now. Like you're saying, of course, I was very small, a child, and I remember hearing the song only in the internet did I realize who it was. What a great singer. And I answered, yeah, he was excellent, and he deserves more credit. And maybe you agree with that. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me look and see if we've got any kind of comments here. Let me see. Got Maria Brown. And Maria said, and there was someone that went into a motel in Dallas on the 10th and beheaded someone. Oh, good Lord. I wish I wouldn't have read that now. Captain James T. Kirk. Into third. Thank you, Captain Kirk. Georgia 27, Tennessee 28. Well, that's still good news for right now. So as of now, Tennessee is still leading Georgia. It's a great football game. If I wasn't doing this podcast right now, I'd be watching the Tennessee game. Heather Gibbs. Howdy, Heather. I don't know if you ever tuned in before. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. She says, I do remember Freddie Fender. Double D Double R says, I can still sing along to that song even without reminders. And Jeff's guitar said Freddie was a Texas tornado. He sure as heck was. Because that was a great band, too. And that band, nor does Freddie, get the credit he deserves. And Heather says, I'm from Brooks, Maine. Howdy to all the good folks in Brooks, Maine. Howdy to you, Heather. Thank you for tuning in and popping in a comment. If you love country music, stick with us. We always talk about country music history on this channel, and we love you for tuning in. All right. speaking of a man making country music history, we got to talk a little bit about Morgan Wallen. Last week I released a video called "Is Morgan Wallen a Country Outlaw?" And a lot of you diehard country fans said, "No, he's not. You got to be country to be a country outlaw." And I'm like, well, he is bucking the system. He is like the number one, what is labeled the country artist nowadays, and he is in and out of trouble with the law. So he could very possibly fit the bill as being a country outlaw. And then Fort 1822 says, why does he keep on insisting on throwing you know what? Well, here is the controversy, or the latest one. Almost the time this video came out last week, he was up to his old antics again. This time with a baseball bat. He threw a baseball bat at someone, and I'm going to play this video because it'll give me a chance to drink some Coke and peanuts. But watch this video. It sort of tells the story of what old Morgan Wallen did.
In Toronto, and the whole thing was caught on video. Let me explain. On night 2 in Toronto on the I'm the Problem tour, Morgan Wallen was doing his walkout with baseball legend Jose Bautista, who back in 2015 hit this amazing home run that was celebrated with a now iconic bat flip that Morgan Wallen was trying to recreate in his walkout. And by all accounts, he did recreate it, but what the people in the stadium didn't see was that bat hitting Jose Bautista's wife. That's right, the person who took this video and was struck by that baseball bat was none other than Jose Bautista's wife, Nisha Bautista, who later posted the clip on her Instagram story, and by all accounts is perfectly okay. But at the end of the day, maybe this whole thing is just a sign from the universe. After all, if you didn't know, Morgan Wallen always wanted to be a baseball star. This is the photo of him from back around 2010.
All right. Now you have the latest scandalous news on Morgan Wallen. And there was somebody else commented on that post saying that the picture of the guy at the beginning of that video was not Morgan Wallen, it was Riley Green. But I'm like, don't they sort of look alike? All these country stars are going for that, mustache nowadays. I don't know. But yeah, Morgan he makes bad choices. I really don't think he did it on purpose. I don't think he would try to purposely throw a bat at the wife of a Major League Baseball star. But he did because he needs to use his brain a little bit more. Is he still the number one country star? Yes, he is. I just wish he'd grow up a little bit and stop being so silly. All right, let's go to the next slide, and let's talk about a real country outlaw. And I'm talking about David Allan Coe. I was going through the archives this week, and I got to find a good interview clip with David Allan Coe. And of the two people I've interviewed in my life, I'll include freaky politicians in this and country stars. David Allan Coe spooked me more than any other person I've ever met. I had to interview him. I was so freaking scared. I don't even remember what happened in the interview because that's how scary this dude was, especially back in those days, because maybe back in those days he was probably doing more drugs. But I want to play you a clip, and I released this clip yesterday, got thousands of views across all the platforms, and this is David Allan Coe really talking about his upbringing. Check this out.
You live with six wives. I mean, you are the ultimate degenerate personified. Where did you go wrong?
I think I went to reform school when I was 9 years old, and I grew up in institutions. So probably my ideals and my values are different than most people's. I believe in realism a lot more than probably they do. My morals are different.
As I try to bring myself back up here to the stage, but it makes you think. If you're comparing David Allan Coe to Morgan Wallen, I mean, it's quite obvious. David Allan Coe is the bigger country outlaw because he was a pure country outlaw in some senses, and even more of an outlaw than the other outlaws, except for Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard was a pretty rough dude back in his day too. But, I hope he's still alive. He's still with us, so we still have a few of those outlaws still around. So it does make you wonder. It makes you wonder about things like outlaws in country music. So I don't know. Maybe Morgan Wallen is a country outlaw. Maybe he's not. I'll let you guys fight over that. All right, let's go into the CMA Awards. In Double D Double R says, saw that interview. David Unco really has had a hard life. He has. He had a tough life. He grew up really tough. And I hope he's still alive, so he's doing something right in some sense. Heather Gibbs says, good grief, Morgan Wallen needs a counselor for sure. He does need something, Heather. He probably needs to cut down on his drinking so much. That is one problem that is often always involved. I always wonder why, you see all these signs about the evils of cigarette smoking, but you see less signs about the evils of excessive alcohol drinking, but excessive alcohol drinking can cause some severe pain, not only for the person drinking, but for those around them. So it makes you wonder. All right, let's get to the CMA Awards. I'm a proud member of the Country Music Association, and I want to get your input. Who do you think should win these awards? I was in on a video call, I think it was last Monday, where they were announcing the awards and everything. And one thing just blew my mind away is I wasn't looking at the screen, but I heard the voice of Charlie Chase and Lorianne Crook. And I looked up and they were there on the screen. So if you haven't seen Charlie Chase and Lorianne Crook lately, this is what they look like nowadays. Still sound great, still love them, but I just haven't seen them on the screen much in recent years. They're still going strong, love them so much, and they were talking about the CMA Awards. So now, before I get into this, I've got Clemente, who has just chimed in, and I'm going to translate this for you as I put my Spanish translation skills to work here. He says, saludos, equipo desde Matamoros, querido tierra de Rigo Tovar. I think Matamoros, he's saying, hello, team from Matamoros. I think Matamoros, if I'm not mistaken, is Mexico. Not exactly sure what part of Mexico that is, because I'm very familiar with southern Mexico around the Belize border, but not as much around the Texas border or the west or east coast. But gracias, Clemente, por su vista y por su comentario también. Thank you, Clemente, for your viewing of this channel and commenting. Los amo mucho, amigo mexicano. All right. Now, JCat, if you are out there and if you got that link to the poll we have for all the Country Music Awards, when folks get a chance, you can follow that link. JCat, paste it into the chat area. And if JCat doesn't give a chance, I'll paste it on the channel later. Let's talk about the Country Music Awards this year. Who should win? Up first, Music Video of the Year nominee. Here are the possibilities. And honestly, I've only seen two of these videos. Am I Okay, Megan Maroney? I'm Gonna Love You, Cody Johnson with Carrie Underwood. Somewhere Over Laredo, Lainey Wilson. Think I'm in Love with You from Chris Stapleton. That is not Chris Stapleton in the picture. No. I think that fellow is a black fellow, but he goes by the name of Running Bear. I think he's the director of the video. So that's why Chris Stapleton is not on the screen. And You Look Like You Love Me from Riley Green and Ella Langley. So folks, chime in. Who do you think should win that award for Music Video of the Year? Like I said, I've only seen two of these videos. Somewhere Over Laredo and You Look Like You Love Me. And of course, they're more traditional countries. So, I'm going to tune into or it'll catch my attention more than anything else. So you can pop it into your comments if you feel like it. Who do you think is the best option for Music Video of the Year? My bias tells me that it is Lainey Wilson, Somewhere Over Laredo, or You Look Like You Love Me from Riley and Ella. But what do you guys think? If you guys have seen those videos, whether you put in the chat now or this will be replayed on the internet until the end of time, you can pop in your comments and will, it may influence a vote. You never know. Who do you think it's going to be? Right now, and this is not my final pick, right now for me, it would be Somewhere Over Laredo. That is an incredibly great country song because it's a play on Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and she's just great. All right, musical event of the year. What do you think about this one? Excuse me. Let me go back one here. I jumped up ahead, but musical event of the year. Don't Mind If I Do from Riley Green and Ella Langley again. Hard Fought Hallelujah, Brandon Lake with Jelly Roll. I'm Gonna Love You, Cody Johnson with Carrie Underwood. Pour Me a Drink, Post Malone featuring Blake Shelton. And You Had to Be There, Megan Maroney featuring Kenny Chesney. If my guesses who is going to probably win this, I'm just procrastinating here or prognosticating, that's what I'm trying to say. I would probably say that Post Malone and Blake Shelton will win. But what do you think? Who do you think should win that award? Well, RRR says, I just always love Carrie Underwood. I love Carrie Underwood too. She's a beautiful person. But who do you think? I hope you like some of those. I did like Pour Me a Drink. Was it 100% country music? No, but like I've said many times, Post Malone understands and knows country music history. And according to him, he's going to make his future songs are even going to be more country. So, I hope you like one of those categories. All right, our next category is Vocal Duo of the Year. And for the 1,000th time, Brooks and Dunn is nominated. Brothers Osborne is there. Dan and Shay, or Dan plus Shay, and Maddie and Tay. That always got me confused. And The War and Treaty. So, I don't know who you like for Vocal Duo of the Year. You can pop it down in the comments live now, or if you're watching this replay, you can pop them in the comments. I'll be watching these comments. Maybe you'll infuse it into my mind on who should be voted for this award, because like I said, I'm a member of the CMA, and I'm going to take folks' input and thoughts on this, because honestly, I love and know a lot about country music history. With the country music present, I've got a lot to learn. I know Brooks and Dunn. And they're good. DDR says, fully for Brooks and Dunn. JCat says, Megan won first time ever country VMA award. Yep, I saw that. I don't know. I don't think Beyonce won a VMA award. I don't guess she did. I don't know if she made a country video, or was that just one of those videos with words on it? Who knows? All right, vocal group of the year, as I hit it too fast again. I'm trying to hit the button to enlarge the screen so I can see it. Vocal group of the year, Lady A, formerly known as Lady Antebellum. Like all my hens out there, they're called the Dixie Chicks. They're not the Chicks. But Lady A is nominated with Little Big Town, Old Dominion. I saw them the other night at the Opry. They put on a good show. Didn't sound immensely like country music that I'm used to, but they were great at what they did. Rascal Flatts. I saw one of the members of Rascal Flatts on that stage that night. And the Red Clay Strays. I have no idea who the Red Clay Strays are. When you're doing a video focused on the history of country music, sometimes you miss out on all these new acts. And when I was on that CMA call this week, I was like, Red Clay Strays, I don't know who that is. I'm going to have to listen to them and see what happens. DDR says Beyonce who? Heather says Brooks and Dunn. RRR says Brooks and Dunn. JCat says Lady A. And RRR comes back in and says, well, this one's a bit tougher. I think I'll go with Rascal Flatts on this one. I have no idea who I'm going to go with. It's probably going to be up to you guys, because I haven't known this new country music long enough to even make a good choice. So let's keep rolling to our next category. take WDRR off the screen here. And this next category is Album of the Year. Megan Maroney, I'm Okay. Zach Top, Cold Beer and Country Music. Post Malone, At 4 Trillion. Morgan Wallen, his biographical album, I'm the Problem. And Lainey Wilson with Whirlwind. Who do y'all think? I'm super happy I see Zach Top in this category. I don't know if Zach Top deserves this award or not, but let me tell you, I'm glad he is there. What do y'all think? Do you think Zach Top should win? Should it be Lainey Wilson? Should it be Morgan Wallen? Should it be someone else? Because I need your input. I'd appreciate what your input is on who you think is the best choice for Album of the Year. My guess is Morgan Wallen will win it just because it's such a powerful album being listened to by so many people. But I don't know. You guys think about that one. Think in your mind who your favorite is. You can pop it in the comments now or later about favorite album of the year. And with even more important news, Captain Kirk is back. Georgia 30, Tennessee 35, 11:01 the fourth. That is one heck of a game. I'm going to have to cut this short real quick. I'm going to have to see the ending. But let's keep rolling. Our next award category for the CMA Awards is New Artist. I love these artists. We've got Ella Langley, old Shabuzi, Mr. Country himself, Zach Top, Tucker Wetmore, and Stephen Wilson Jr. And to be terribly honest with you, I have no idea who Stephen Wilson Jr. is. I know the other four, but I don't know Stephen Wilson Jr. So maybe he's good. Maybe he is. I think WERR is talking about the album category, saying my grandson would vote for Post Malone. Yeah. Like I said, I like Post Malone. I think he's getting closer to traditional country than any of these former pop or rap or whatever stars there are coming over to country music. So those are the new artist nominees. Who do you think? My favorites right now, showing my bias, is Ella Langley and Zach Top. But that's pure bias. And that is trying to support traditional country music and the spirit of this channel because we play so much traditional country music because that is what's made so much country music history. So, and J-Cat saying Red Clay Strays big in Texas music. I need to listen to them. There's some great music coming out of Texas. So I may have to tune in to the Red Clay Strays and figure out what they are and who they are. All right, the next award, and this is a big one, Single of the Year. Now, don't get this confused, but Song of the Year. Single of the Year is for the artist, the record, and how big it made it on the charts and how popular it was. Here are the nominees. 4x4 by You, Lainey Wilson. That's a great song. I like Somewhere Over Laredo better. Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, Luke Combs. Megan Maroney, Am I Okay? I think her and Morgan Wallen are in the same theme. Am I okay? And am I the problem? I don't know. I Never Lied, Zach Top. And You Look Like You Love Me, Ella Langley, Riley Green. I don't know. That's a hard one to choose. If I were placing my money on this category, it's going to be You Look Like You Love Me, Ella Langley, Riley Green. And here's the thing. CMA members, when we all put our votes in, they will not let us know who won. We will see it on the award show. So, I'm going to probably choose my own, and I'm going to tell you guys who I'm choosing for these awards when we get closer to the awards, and we'll see how close my prognostication comes to what really happens. But those are the Single of the Year nominees. I don't know who your favorite is in that category. Just pop in the comments, whether it's live or you're watching this great podcast later. And let's see who we got here. Julian Santagita says, I would vote for Post Malone too. Cool. Ruth Ives says Brooks and Dunn. And I think she was talking about the duo category. I love Brooks and Dunn. There's no doubt about it. They could sing some great music. J-Cat, Ella Langley. You know, J-Cat, you got a good reason for choosing Ella, that's for sure. All right. Now let's get Song of the Year. I think this is even a more important award to me because this honors not only the singer, but the songwriters, or really more the songwriters than the singer. So it's like to the guts, to the heart, to the lyrics of the song. So the Song of the Year nominees, they are 4x4 by You, Am I Okay, I Never Lie, Texas, and You Look Like You Love Me. I don't know. I have no idea what the best choice of this would be. I would say it would be either I Never Lie by Zach Top and those great writers, or I wish Somewhere Over Laredo was in this category this year because I just think that's an amazing song. But I don't know. I'm going to be listening to all these songs more. I've never heard of Am I Okay? Like I said, this channel is dedicated to country music history, and I don't hear all the new stuff as much. Maybe I have, and I just don't realize it. I've heard I Never Lie, never heard Texas, and of course I've heard many times You Look Like You Love Me. So what do y'all think? J-Cat says 4x4 by You. It's a good song. I agree. And she's into those truck songs, you know. I guess that song will be featured on Trucks 3. Trucks in Country Music History 3, maybe. And William May says, I would vote for classic country music. I would too. Actually, in the meeting on Monday, a CMA person that works at CMA jumps out and says, what are you guys' thoughts before we announce these nominations? And I jumped in and I typed into the comment section, well, I hope we hear some really traditional sounding country music. So they're probably like, oh, Kevin, he's a prude, you know. And Double D, Double R says, you're going to have to surprise me on that one. All right, let's go to our next category for the Country Music Association Awards, and that is Female Vocalist of the Year. J-Cat's back there just getting excited on this one because J-Cat is the biggest supporter I know of females in country music. We've got Kelsey Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, Ella Langley, Megan Maroney, and Lainey Wilson. My guess, my prediction is Lainey Wilson's going to win this award, but we will see. And if I get any inside intel that it's not going that way, I'll maybe let you guys on the channel know that we need to think about Ella Langley or Kelsey Ballerini or Megan Maroney. We'll see, because the CMA is made up of a lot of folks, and they're not all old codgers like me. So they all have a voice, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But those are your nominees for Female Vocalist of the Year. And Double D Double R is thinking about Miranda. Well, Miranda and Ella and Lainey, I'm pretty sure you're more traditional country singers. And Heather says Miranda as well. You know, they're more your traditional country singers. But if you're going to more of the poppy stuff, I think Megan Maroney or Kelsey Ballerini is your gal. And Julian Santaguita says, I think Kelsey Ballerini would win. I don't know. We will see. And I'm going to give you my predictions probably a day or two before the award show is happening in November in Nashville. And we'll see how my predictions go. All right. The next nominee is for Male Vocalist of the Year. Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Chris Stapleton, Zach Top, and Mr. I'm the Problem, Morgan Wallen, that also sort of looks like Riley Green. Because he does. I can't help it, you know. They sort of look like each other. But I think Riley is more in control of his world. Who do you think? Who should be the Male Vocalist of the Year? I'm so proud to see Zach Top on this list. He's the most traditional country of all of them, unless I'm forgetting about Cody. But I don't think I will be flabbergasted if Zach Top wins this award. With the country music industry and so many industry people in the CMA, you know, it's probably not going to be Zach Top, but I hope I'm surprised. I think the best chances are between Luke Combs, Chris Stapleton, Morgan Wallen, and the dog that's barking in the background of this podcast. So let's see. Let's see who JCat thinks is going to be Lainey for the female vocalist of the year. Double D Double R, another toss-up. I'll vote for Chris Stapleton. All right. Ruth Ives says Luke Combs. She's over on Facebook. Thank you for chiming in with us, Ruth. Appreciate that. Heather says Chris Stapleton. Julian has no doubt. Luke Combs for me. I like this song, Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. You know, maybe you should have changed that to Tennessee, because I'm still looking for the love of my life. And so far, ain't no love in Tennessee. Maybe she's down to pass some way. I don't know. DDR says Chris with no T. Chris with no T. I don't get that. You're probably passing something by my head that I don't understand there, double D, double R. And over on Facebook, Christine Bennett says Chris Stapleton. And double D, double R says there isn't any in Wisconsin either. Brother, we're in the same boat. All right. Those are your choices for male vocalist of the year. And I'm going to study this. And it doesn't mean I'm going to vote for Zach Top, because there's a lot of things I have to study to figure out whether it's the best choice, because even though I love Zach Top and he is singing traditional country music, is he really the best choice for male vocalist of the year? I don't know the answer to that question yet, but I do know the answer to the current score of the Tennessee-Georgia game. Tennessee 38, Georgia 30. Anybody tune in from Georgia, still love you. I still hope Tennessee wins. Thank you, Captain Kirk. J-Cat says, I've only missed calling 5 winners in 15 years. Wow. We'll see how J-Cat's predictions are up against mine. He'll probably beat me, especially with these new folks that I have no freaking, I could see them on the street and not know them, you know. I walked right by Chris Jensen before he went on stage, and I had no idea who that was. You know, so go figure, you know. Let's go to the next one. And this is the biggest one of all. Entertainer of the Year. Who is going to win this? Is it going to be Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Chris Stapleton, or Morgan Wallen? Again, I'll have to study this one. I'm leaning in the direction, as far as impact and what is still labeled as country music, Morgan Wallen, whether good or bad, whether he's in jail or out of jail or throwing chairs or not, or throwing bats, he is everywhere. My former radio station, the Big 98 WSIX, plays him every 10 minutes. So we'll see what happens here. It would be great, as J-Cat would agree with me, that a great lady would win this sometimes. But I don't know if it's going to happen this year or not. Let's bring up a comment from Double D Double R. I'd go with Lainey Wilson. I don't know who I'm going to go with yet, but I think they're all good choices. I'm glad to see a few people that I don't want to be there. Thankfully, they're not there. And honestly, I think the CMA does a better job at respecting the history of country music in most situations than other award shows do. And that's probably why I decided to become a member of the Country Music Association, because they try to balance it. They really do. They try to balance the history of country music, traditional country music, with what's going on in new country music. So, you know, Let's go back to the board. Julian Santaguita says, it's all Luke Combs for me. I'm giving him 10 out of 100. Sounds good, Julian. And over on Facebook, Christine Bennett says, Chris Stapleton. All right. All righty, folks, we're going to find out what happens. We're going to be talking more about these CMA nominees and award winners, and also I will provide you any updates if Morgan Wallen starts throwing more chairs, baseball bats, or furniture at people. I don't know. But it's been fun being with you tonight, and from the bottom of my heart, we need to remember and honor those who died on September 11th in 2001, including my friends who died in 2012 in Benghazi. I miss them. I love them. And we also need to remember, no matter what side of the political arena you're on, the death of Charlie Kirk. Whether you agree with him or not, he did not deserve to be killed in the way that he was. Sad. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Charlie Kirk. So until next time, folks, you know I love you. You know that where we're at. Watch our videos. We're here on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X. We're giving you new stuff every day about country music history, and you make it all possible. We love you. God bless you. And until next time, let's keep it country right here on the Country Music Time Machine.
There's a crackle on the radio, a story to be told about banjos on the hillside and voices paved in gold. Got a cold glass bottle, drop some peanuts in the coat, and I'm sitting on the front porch hanging on every note. The Front Porch Podcast, singing times gone by, with fiddle strings and heartache and the reasons why. We keep this music living, never let it fade so fast. Raise a toast to the legends on the Front Porch Podcast.